Hi, my name is Newell Davis with World Composting, and it's been 14 days since our last update on our bin that has pine shavings in it. So I want to give you an update, see how things are going. Last time they were pretty much through all the food that they had. There was just a tiny bit left, and we added in if I remember right, a piece of celery, the bottom piece of celery for them to chew through. And we're probably gonna have to add some more food this time if they've gone through this. So let's go and take a look and see how they're doing and see if there's any cocoons and just see how the material is. And we'll go through and maybe add some more food and maybe some more moisture depending on how the bottom looks and if it's dry or wet. So let's go and take a look. All right, as you can see, 3/3/2021 here, and today is the 17th, so 14 days. I'm just going to scoot this forward a little bit, maybe balance it out a little bit there. And let's start by taking off these bags and see if there's any flies in here or anything. I don't see anything there. Not seeing anything there either. Some moisture on the top, but not too bad. And I'm just putting these off to the side right now. And then right here, this one has a lot of stuff on it, but I'm not seeing any worms or flies or anything like that, anything crawling around. So overall, these look pretty good. Now, let's dig into the bin. Well, first off, we've got a couple here, it looks like, that are making some babies here on the top. Look at this right here. These two are connected. I don't want to disturb them too much if possible, but I think I will move them over here. Those two are connected though. Actually, here you go. I'm going to pick them up here. So you can see right there, they're connected. And that means we're going to have cocoons, which is always a good sign in a worm bin. So I am seeing a little fruit fly maybe over here in the corner. And I am seeing, I don't know if I could show these to you really, but I am seeing a mite. A couple mites along the edge of the bin here. Let me actually take off my glove here. Let's zoom in on these. All right, it doesn't look like anything, but then when we zoom in here, oops, too far. You can see them crawling around the edge of the bin here, these mites. So mites are typically from too much moisture. So we'll have to check the bottom here and see how it is and maybe turn this upside down a little bit to dry it out. But we'll see. I'm surprised since these edges here look so dry. So let me get the camera back on top. And it's not just on this side over there, by the way. You can see they're all around here. Crawling around. Actually, they're really right on the surface here. You just back up and zoom in here a little bit. So you can see that they're all over the edges here, and actually there's one on the bedding I was able to just see just a second ago. You can see them right over there. So they're on the dry bedding over there too. So we're going to have to take a look at this, maybe turn it over, dry it out a little bit, see what it needs. But they're all over this bin right now. So these aren't bad, but they're not great for your system. So we'll see. Let's just come over to this side over here. You can really see a lot of them over here as well. So there you go, you can see them. So there's definitely mites in here. So let's go back to where we were and let's start digging this up. All right, back to where we were. We do have mites in here, so that means that it might be a little bit moist in here. But let's just dig this up here. I think this is the side that we had the celery on, and if you can't tell, it looks like it's gone, but some big healthy worms in there. Big healthy worms. Let's just see. There's definitely a little bit moist down here. I can see that my gloves are pretty wet. Overall though, worms look pretty good. Let's just dig up this center section here. I now have some mites crawling on my hands from touching the bin. So again, it looks pretty good. Some worms in there. I also see, I don't know if you can see them in here, but I see some little tiny pot worms in here as well, which I find just happens in any system I have. I don't really care, but just so you can see them. And you can tell this material is really starting to get worked through pretty well. Now, I don't really talk about it, but it's a little bit chilly down here in my basement, so they don't feel they're moving quite as fast. This worm doesn't look quite as healthy, but a lot of the other worms do. But it is chilly down here, so there's that stem. There's always seems to be banana stems in my stuff, how many bananas I add. But I do find that the system works a little better when it's warm out. It's been really cold outside. My basement's been cold, and I think that they've sort of slowed down with that. But look, you can see nice, healthy juvenile worms in here, and then we've got some bigger ones. Looks like a very nice, healthy population in here of worms. Bottom is definitely a little bit moist. I mean, I'm really picking up a lot of water from the bottom here. On my gloves, you can see that they're coated in water. So, but overall, the material looks really good. Let's just see, dig down a little bit over here. Oh, look at that. Tons of worms over here in this area. I'm just piling them on top for now. As you can see now, it's really, really moist at the bottom. You can really tell over here. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to rotate this around a little bit. We're going to dump in these dry shavings into this nice wet section over here. Try to dry this out just a little bit. I was actually hoping to add a little bit of, what's it called? The BTI mix to it, because with the fruit flies that I've had in my basement, I don't think they're fruit flies anymore. I think I've got rid of all the fruit flies, and now I might have some fungus gnats. And this stuff is supposed to work really good against fungus gnats, but I'm just going to stir this up. It feels like everything's in the center, and the sides are kind of dry. Actually, there's still, underneath is a little bit moist, but I think this is plenty moist. I don't really need any water in here, per se, but I just want to mix it up, get everything sort of moving around a little bit. Oops. Sorry about that. So you can see in here, I think those are some coffee grounds actually that are left over. Look at that, nice healthy worm population in here. They're really starting to move through this stuff. I think they're getting used to this material, but the material really needs to break down a little bit more. I mean, here's a dry corner. I mean, look at this. You can really tell the difference in shaving color here. So when you get down to the bottom though, this bottom corner, look at that, it's all wet. So there's plenty of moisture in here. We just need to get it to absorb everywhere, and we need to get everything breaking down in here now. So before we really had that center section breaking down, we need to get those microbes working all through here. So that's why I'm mixing this up now. Now hopefully, I'm going to add some cold food again like I've done in the past. I'm going to add it to this side over here. We're going to add some freezing cold food. I am going to add a little bit of moisture to this with the BTI mix in it. So I'm going to just grab in a handful of food here, and this is a handful that I have that's frozen. So it's going to be a banana, some coffee grounds. We're not going to add a whole lot. Just going to kind of smush those together so that way they can be a little bit more compact in there. And then we're going to just bury this in over here. Make sure this is actually pressed down in there. There we go. I moved it over just a little bit, but we're going to make sure that this is covered nicely. Now, I know that this actually looks pretty well for moisture, but I am going to add a little bit more with some of this BTI mix that I've been adding to some of my other bins that I haven't really shown. But I have the BTI mix in a container that I have it in with water, and I've just been grabbing a container like this and sort of just loosely sprinkling some of it over the top. I figure this is going to get some of those bacteria that attack the larvae and things like that into my bins, and they'll take over hopefully and get rid of some of these some of the stuff that's in here. So that looks good. Bin looks good. It went through all the food, it looks like. What's that right there? That's a piece of the banana. We needed that down in there. There we go. There we go. Everything I think is covered now. I'm not sure what this piece looks like. A chunk of wood that was actually in the wood chips, but definitely wood of some sort. This is not something that I put in there. But we'll just leave that on top right here. We're going to cover this back up. I didn't add any crushed eggshell this time. I was thinking about it, but you know, I don't feel it really needs it right now. There's plenty of other stuff that's probably in here. I could always actually, you know what, I could sprinkle it a little bit over the top just in case there's anything that's needed here. We'll just add a little bit of crushed eggshell. Just to make sure. I do like to make sure there's enough grit in my bins. Grit is very important to help your worms go through the bins that you have, or the food that's in your bins. So I do highly recommend adding grit regularly. So we'll see. I'm not too worried about the mites. There's not a massive population in here, but there definitely is a population. I've had mites in other systems, and they tend to come and go as they please. I do find that they are in more so scattered in my moist systems than when the systems are very warm and dry. So there we go. Got this covered back up, and we will come back. So I will add a new label here to the front, labeling this as the 17th, And we will come back in a couple weeks and see if this small feeding is gone and how the worms are doing. So far, they're doing pretty good. I didn't see any cocoons. If you saw any, let me know down in the comments. And, you know, we'll continue to check on this. So I might need to add a weight to the top of this. I've noticed that this is popping up a lot more as I go here. And just so you can see here, I don't know if you can see on the top here, but there are mites all over the top as well. They're moving around like crazy now that I've moved stuff around. So that happens. It's not a big deal, as I said. I think red mites are perfectly fine. I think it's white mites is where they start. They're a little bit carnivorous and might eat your worms. I don't think red mites are supposed to be harmful at all. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know. And thank you again.